As soon as we start to feel the energy rise in our body from the pressure or the stress or the frustration or life not going according to your plan, pause, take a very deep breath, just like a good reset breath, and just flood yourself of all of the things you're grateful for.
And welcome back to another episode of It Takes Grit. You are gonna love my next guest because I feel like we can chat forever. The first time that we had a conversation, it was an hour's FaceTime and we were just bouncing off ideas and getting fired up. And I feel like we could have easily chatted for an hour before we even had this podcast. So Amanda Robbins, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. You're so right too. We could have chatted for ages.
Yeah. And you have so much incredible value and knowledge that I'm just so ready to share it with our audience because it's going to make such a difference to you guys listening. You are going to be able to leave this episode feeling more confident in what you're doing. Your relationship's going to get better. And you know that I struggle with meditation. So I brought you guys a person who's going to really help you in getting through that process. So Amanda, do you want to just tell everybody, first of all, a little bit about who you are, where you live, what you do?
Okay, perfect. So we're currently in Miami Beach. That's where we're located. We're moving to Puerto Rico. So we have a big move ahead of us and we're very excited about that. We are coaches. My husband and I are coaches. My background actually is in business and marketing. And so what's beautiful is when I met my husband, he came from this coaching world. And one of our favorite lines from the first time we met was, we both traveled all over the world, lived all over the world for many years and volunteered and did all this work. When we met each other, that literally the day we met each other, I'm like, so what has you traveling? And he goes, well, for lack of better words, I'm a motivational speaker and a coach. And you could tell he hated saying motivational speaker because it's so cliche. But it was just, I would understand that. And I was like, oh, interesting. Me too, except I don't get paid for it. And he was cracking, we're both cracking up. And that's really the truth. So I've always loved to help people, to encourage them to be the best version of themselves. So when we met, it was beautiful because I was really able to learn more about coaching. And I really thought oh, sure, I'm a coach. I was a manager or a leader at that time in a higher level role. And I realized that once I started to see more of what he was doing, I was like, whoa, I'm not really coaching. I'm probably pep talking and motivating and encouraging and cheerleading, but he was really able to go deep with them and work through some blocks and overcome things. And so that really inspired me because I realized I was kind of just touching the surface. And I will say so many people that call themselves coaches, they don't go deep. They don't know how because they don't have the tools. They have great intentions though. And I definitely was one of those people. So this was about 7 years ago. I started to learn and study more about coaching with him. And I was teaching him about sales and marketing. So we now work together and our business is in coaching. He's been coaching, oh my gosh, more than half of his life. He's wicked talented. And so we now work together. We also end up launching a coach certification program and it's ICF and BCC standard. We're super proud of it. We have the best humans on the planet that go through it to become coaches and help not only become the best version of themselves, but to help others do the same. So that's really it. And I'm learning to fly right now and we love to travel. We kind of really optimize our life for freedom and creating positive impact in the world, making a difference. And that's really where we dedicate a lot of our time to when it's not in our business or just having a really amazing relationship. Thank God. I'm so grateful for that. So yeah, that's it. And I wanted to say, it's so hard to do this interview with you because I want to ask you so many questions. So it's super sweet that you're like, she's going to teach you so much. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love, we have to do one where you're interviewed by someone or I interview you or something. Cause I swear we could talk all day and I'm like, tell me more.
I love that. And
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that we're getting into a world right now, maybe even 7 years ago, it wasn't a big thing to have a coach. And it is, everybody right now is like, why do I need a coach? Like, what does this mean? Why do you think it's important for everybody to have a coach?
So I love this. And I'll ask you, tell me one area of your life, any area of your life that you want to improve.
Communication.
That's why. Because every single person has an area. You are kicking ass right now in your career, in your business. You have a great relationship. You're traveling the world. You're totally doing that. And yet you still have an area of your life that you want to improve. We always will, like, that's just part of evolution, right? And so that's exactly why we always have an area of our life that we want to improve. And we kind of like, the beautiful part about coaching is often, and this is what we teach, is we know the answers. We really deeply know. You probably know what you need to do. You don't know what you need to do. You kind of know where you need to go to look. And so what's beautiful about a coach is they're not going to necessarily fix the problem for you, but they are going to shine the light. So if you're like, I don't know, I just know this is a weak spot, they're going to challenge you, shine the light on where you need to kind of dig to find, that treasure, that gold, that area of improvement that you want to improve in any area of your life. The accountability, of course, the insight, the resources. What's so beautiful is we've done so much research too. And like, whether it's super A-list celebrities or whatever, or it's the CEO of, I want to say it was Google, that recently did a podcast with Tim Ferriss and was talking about how everyone needs a coach. It's so incredibly important. In fact, Google did a 10-year study. They tried to get rid of all managers, be like, we don't need managers. And then what they realized is, no, we actually need managers, but we need a specific kind of manager. And when I say manager, let's call it a leader. So if you're a leader in an organization or a leader in a team, you have a team, the number one thing that they came up with of the best manager or leader is they're a coach. They're able to coach people. And so there's so many reasons. We've done a ton of research on the benefits of it. But I think at the end of the day, everyone, even at the top of their game, if you said, what's one area of life you want to do better in, or you would like help with, or you'd like to improve in, they will always have an answer. They will. And so that's where coaching begins, is to help illuminate, okay, how do we fill that? How do we bridge that gap, right? From where you're at to where you want to be, and navigate all the ways to get there, which is really cool. So
I believe that everybody needs a coach. And I, even growing up, when I played field hockey, I wanted to get into field hockey for the south of England. I had a coach that I would do 2-3 times a week with, and just practice hitting the ball over and over again. And so we're really used to maybe being conditioned to having a coach or a teacher at school, but we're like, now we're an adult. Why do we need a coach or a teacher? It's like, well, actually you need one even more, because the real world is the real world. It's not just that you're at school. So where can you start? Because you might, some of our audience might be like, well, that's great, but coaches can be expensive and I don't even know where to start. I don't know. I don't want to reach out to somebody. There's that imposter syndrome of being like, I don't want to keep asking this person. Where would you even start if you are brand new, to be like, hey, I'm by myself. I don't think my family or friends are the right influence, but I just need one person who's going to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great question. So I would say, we certainly have an amazing community and affiliation with a lot of coaches. So I like to kind of reach out to someone that either has a coach or is a coach, and say, do you know someone? And I get that. Literally yesterday, I had 2 people reach out to me about looking for a specific type of coach. And I'm like, yes, I could help them, but I know someone even better than me specifically on that topic. And there's no scarcity. I'm going to send them over to you with here are the people I recommend. So we have a really beautiful, so I guess reach out to a coach, whether it's me or someone that you know is a coach. But I would say the most important thing is filtering. And what I mean by that is to interview them and get to know them. And most coaches will offer an intro session, and you'll get to know their vibe, how they work, if they really are a good fit for you, and if you're a good fit for them. And so what we really train our coaches is to be very specific on who they help and how they help them. If it's a coach, it's just like, I coach everything, that's where you maybe want to be careful. Know exactly what it is in your life that you like, what's the goal that you have in mind, and then find a coach that can help you specifically with that. And I want to just real quick, because this is important, just disclaimer between a coach and a mentor, or like, we all know kind of what a counselor is and a therapist. They're kind of working on things that have happened in the past. So if it's something's trauma, things in your life in the past, find a therapist. A coach can help, but they're for here where you're at and moving forward. If it's stuff in your background, your past, your like trauma and stuff, find someone that's specially, like maybe a therapist or someone that's definitely trained in that area. A mentor is someone like, we do coaching and we do mentoring. We mentor people that want to be coaches. We coach people that have goals and they want to know how to achieve them, right? So first of all, decide what is the goal that you have in mind, and then find someone that specifically helps either your type of person, like your being. For example, my husband primarily works with male entrepreneurs, 35 to 45 on average, with 0 to 3 kids, newly married, or has, or wants to be married. Like that's very much his demographic. That's who he jives with. For me, it's females. They tend to be somewhere between their 30s and 45, and they are kind of similar, but female, and they want to improve, either grow in their business or improve their relationship, like those kind of balancing those two. So what I would recommend is have a call with them, and then just get to know them and say, here's what I'm aiming for. And then just listen to them, see how they'd work with you and interact. And it's really an interview process. You have to interview them. And that's what I'd recommend. What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's having a conversation with a bunch of people that you gel with, and not feeling like, oh, I'm going to waste this person's time because because that's the thing. Like, if you really have the true intention that you want to coach, and you know that you're going to have to invest some money into having a coach, then have as many calls as you need until you find that perfect person.
That's right. And I would say I love this. One of my very good friends shared this with me, whether it comes to your health, your business, or I want to say it was perhaps your relationship if you're looking for help, but especially the things that stuck out to me were health and business. Anytime you're looking for something like a solution, you have a problem, get at least 3 opinions, at least 3. And I thought that was brilliant advice. It's so often, how often do you go to one person, whether it's for your, like, let's say you have a health thing going on and you just go to one doctor and you just do whatever they say. I guarantee if you went to 3 other ones, you want at least 2 out of the 3 to say the same thing. And if they all say something different, you got to keep asking around, right? Now with coaching, they don't need to all say the same thing necessarily, but I want you to have the same filter, because you'll get to know who's most in alignment or communicates best with you or understands you or just is your, like, works with your flow, right? So I'm not for everyone. And I know other coaches, like we would pass clients back and forth because we're a better fit. I wanted to add something in about the investment. So with that, one thing that we're very passionate about is deliver 10 times the value. And so when it's important, I think for you, for the coach and for the client, to be mindful that they're clear on what their goals are, what is that worth to them, and then what the investment is. So it should be, you should see a positive return on investment, right? So I'm big on that. So it can it be expensive? Yeah, it can also be very affordable. We were just, Jarek and I, my husband, were chatting about how one of our favorite mentors, he goes, this is tough, a tough pill to swallow, but he goes, it's not that it's expensive, it's that you can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, but what's beautiful is it challenges you to get resourceful. And I think resourcefulness is one of the most, if not the most, it's one of the most important things, you know this, to achieve your goals. And so, like, you moved from a different country starting over here and figured it out, right? You had to be resourceful. There were no other options. There's other people that have, far less than anything we've ever had. And they figure it out and they build multi-million-dollar businesses. Those things at one point were expensive. They couldn't afford it, but then they figured out a way. So I think that's what it comes down to. One, getting really resourceful and figuring out how can I make it happen. And I think it is important when you invest in something, if it's free, you don't value it. Let's be honest. But if you have to pay for it, you're going to value it more. And so I think it is important to stretch yourself in that aspect, and then also get resourceful in how you figure it out to afford it. And 3, just be really financially smart with what's the return on investment here.
Mhm.
and make sure that you and that coach are laser focused. When my clients hire me, and I'm not inexpensive, when they hire me, it's very important that I know exactly what they're aiming for, and I'm going to help them hit that goal. Like, they're going to see a positive return on investment, period. But I also have to vet for, are you going to show up and do the work? Right. So
Yeah.
it goes both ways. So anyway, yeah, that's about
It's
coaching.
so true. And if you think something's too expensive, you don't understand the value of it.
That's true.
I think often if, if you've seen, other people getting results from something, if you're like, well, that's too expensive, like, well, no, like that, you're not seeing the value of what you're going to get from that. And so that's where the minds have to be a little bit more open.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it. I love that.
If you've gone through some trauma and you talked about, seeing a psychologist or a therapist first, like, is that the right time to then get a coach? Should you be dealing with something in the past first and then get a coach? Is it okay to do two at the same time? Because I know that some people might be ready to like launch into a business. They might be ready to like do something new, but they've got all this shit that's in their brain that there's like, oh, I can't move forward. But I feel like if you live too much in the past, then you're never going to start in the future. So, I mean,
I love that. I love that question so much, because I do know people who have been working on their past for many, many, many years. And I'll say, that's not my skill set. So I won't go too deep in there. I'm very aware of where my strengths are and my training and knowledge. So I won't touch on that so much. But what I will say from a coach's perspective is, and a human's perspective is, yes, let's sort those things out, but we have to move on. Like, we have to. And I think in a lot of ways, like, how do we turn some of those things into a gift or a strength? And I think we're going to talk about gratitude, which like kind of segues really great into it. But for me, for example, I'm like, oh, I still kind of like struggle to like even bring this up, but like, we grew up on welfare in a trailer park, like in the ghetto. And it was tough, man. Like it was super tough. I got a job when it was illegal, completely under the table, because I was like, listen, we do like layaway for clothes, and it was a very small budget. It was crazy. And so I was in like the free lunch line. I handled it fine because I just took it in stride, but not everyone does that, right? Like, some people, it really like, they get bullied and stuff. And so what's interesting is like, I really would like kind of not shun, I was ashamed of it. For like, after that, I handled it fine, like through grade school. And then after, I really try to like block that out. And that there's not trauma there necessarily, but it's something I was just ashamed of. And so what's interesting is, going back to gratitude and just working through your past, is like, I was like, wow, Amanda, you're not even realizing who you are is because of that. Like, that has shaped you. What do they say? Like, what is it? A diamond is shaped. What does it start with, from coal or something like that? I really got to work on that analogy.
Diamond. It takes heat, pressure, and time to create a diamond.
That's right. And it's a diamond. Like, people pay tons of money for it. Right.
You start off looking like a piece of crap. And you take all this pressure, you take the heat, you take the time, and if you stick out of it, you're going to turn into a diamond.
Exactly. So you get it. Thank you for that. So that's exactly my point, is like, to go back to it. And there's so many beautiful just lessons and stories and people that we can really kind of lean on and look at them and see how they've truly have this triumphant story out of complete tragedy. Right. And so when we're able to look at our past, and yes, let's work through it, because there's some stuff we definitely need to work through. But then we really like, let's turn that into like the diamond that we are, so to speak. It sounds a bit cheesy, but like, let's do that. And so finding gratitude or the gift or something, and then allowing us to live in that present moment. And those lessons are able to stick with us, but not in terms of baggage. We got to let go of it. So when you show up to a coach, and say if you're doing both, I think that's great. The key is, with your coach, you want to make sure that you're doing your best to not live in the past, right? So it's going to come up. And I've worked with people that were working through stuff, and I realized like, it's a bit challenging only when they're not committed to letting it go, to working through it and then letting it go as needed, right? If they're still in it. So that's the thing. You've got to be like, that's cool. Work through it. And I support you in seeing a therapist too. But when we're together, we're here and we're going there. You got it? And so it's just that agreement. It's that integrity. Just like, and I was just reading about this, how the biggest trouble is when people say, yeah, I'm working through it, but they're not. you know what I mean? So you got to work through it, let it go, and then really take those like the lessons, find the blessings, the gratitude from it, and then be where you're at here. You know, meditation helps a ton. And then let's focus on where you're going. And that compelling future vision is so powerful and really excelling you forward. But you have to be committed to letting go of that shit that's holding you back, period.
That's such a rad story. And I didn't know like you're growing up and like where you are now. I mean, like what a transformation. But I feel like even people might be listening to this going, yeah, but that's not fair. Like I've had this happen to me and I've had this happen to me. Trust me, everybody's had shit happen to them. Like if you are allowing your past to determine your future, that's 100% your choice. Yeah. And if you're like, well, this is what happened to me, you have to pick yourself up and get out of it. Because I mean, how would you coach someone on that just real quickly about, you know, and I hear this too, but you don't understand, Rebecca, but you don't understand. I've had this, I've had that. It's like, yeah, we've all had stuff. And I feel like it happens for us. And you have to choose whether you turn it to a positive or you still feel sorry for yourself.
Yeah. So there's a couple different angles there. And like, we would go deeper into that. There's some beliefs there, some stories, some narratives that you're not you, but someone that's saying that is attached to. They're getting something out of that. And so we might go into like, you might be familiar with the 6 human needs. Like there's 6 human needs that every human has. And I would figure out like, what are those needs? There's everything we do in our life, we're fulfilling one of those needs. And so when we can figure out what is the need that this person is fulfilling or meeting by living in that story, by living in that past, by being attached to that. It could be certainty. It could be connection. It could be actually like just like, so what's interesting is, so if we go through those, we have certainty, connection, what is it? Love, growth, contribution, and variety, significance. Did I say that?
Yes. It's like significance, recognition, like,
yeah. Okay. So let's say, so we figure out what it is. So maybe it's significance. Oh, you don't understand. Like my problem is bigger than anyone's, right? Like, yes, I've heard this. We've all heard this. We all know someone that's like, you just can't relate. What they're meeting, the need that they're meeting there is significance. They're so significant. They feel so significant with this big ass problem. And so what's interesting is we will find really terrible ways to meet our needs, or we have the choice to find a better, more empowering way to meet our needs. And that's all it comes down to, is figuring out a better way to meet those needs. And so, or better needs to meet that really serve us. Like, how is that serving them? You're like, well, it's meeting that need. Okay, well, what's a better, healthier way to meet that need that's not being addicted to that problem? Because that problem is holding you back. There's another beautiful tool, which is the Byron Katie tool. If you're familiar with Byron Katie's work, it's brilliant. And she will, if it's some sort of negative belief or story, she has this beautiful work, and we teach it in our program as well. And it's, it goes, is that true? So get whatever the statement is, some bullshit line you keep telling yourself but it may be truth. You feel like it's true. So you say, you know, whatever it is, I know, I have a perfect example. Someone's like, no one wants to work with me. No one wants to end this certain deal. And I was like, is that true? Nobody. And like, what's beautiful is she literally had actually told me that someone did, but it just wasn't working out as smoothly. And now she's like, no one wants to, it's impossible. Is that true? Is that really true? Because what's beautiful is nothing is ever 100% true all the time without a blink. That's just impossible. It's just not. And so, is it true? Is it absolutely 100% true? It will fail that test immediately. Okay, who are you when you believe that to be true? So if this person says, it's impossible, no one wants to work with me, I'd say, well, who are you when you believe that to be true? Oh, well, I feel like crap. I feel terrible. I feel small. I feel weak. I feel like I'm not enough. Okay, so obviously you feel like crap, but let them get that out. But okay, who are you without that belief? If you were to let that belief go, who would you be then? Oh, I would feel so great. I would feel like there's possibility and opportunity, and that people do want to work with me, and that I can add value to the world. And you'd be like, okay, great. So now they can clearly see who they are with this belief, who they are without the belief. And then finally you go, okay, let's turn the belief around. And so you take that belief, so no one wants to work with me, and you literally flip it around on its butt, and you're like, people do want to work with me, or lots of people, there's so, whatever it is, people do want to work with me. Lots of people want to work with me. It may be something like, I'm the one that doesn't want to work with people. And then you realize, oh, it's not people, it's me that needs to be worked on. So you flip that belief around in a couple different ways that really debunk the negative belief. So yes, so that's one tool. That's two tools. So that the needs, what needs are we trying to meet? Choose a better need, or choose a healthier way to meet that need. Two, that test, look up Byron Katie. The work is what it's called. And then the third thing I would say is, oh my goodness, what was the third thing? The third thing was the Byron Katie tool. And then I'm like totally blanking out. Oh my goodness.
Love it. You see,
yeah.
Gratitude, though, I feel is a root part of getting over something. So like, even if you've had like a bad day, I have the 5-minute gratitude journal. And
I know what I was going to say. Speaking of that, real quick, the Book of Joy, another great resource for your people. And this will go into gratitude. The Book of Joy. They talk about the 8 pillars to happiness or joy, right? And one of them is, this is so important. Anytime you're feeling like no one gets it, you have this problem, you're all alone, that's like a sure shot way to like just depression and sadness, right? Like a downward spiral. The quickest way out of it is to realize, and it's true, it's not just like telling yourself this, but to realize, truly just imagine there is someone else, just to know that there is someone else in the world that is going through that has gone through that, or that may go through that. And that's like a huge thing these days, is people feel so lonely with their problems, and it makes them so sad. And so that was one of my favorite books all time, is the Book of Joy. And when you said that, where it's like, I'm all alone, and they just go into this place, I just remember, like, even with me, if I'm ever feeling down and out or no one gets it, because we're all human, it's just like, like, I don't live there, obviously, but sometimes I'll just like not feel great about myself. And then I'm just like, you're not alone in this. Like, there's someone else there, and you immediately feel connected. And I know it's not the best way, but at least you don't feel alone, and you feel just an ounce happier because you have some compassion for yourself, and now someone else out into this big, massive world that may be going through that same thing. Do you know what I mean?
It's like, you could have gone through it. They might be going through it now, or it's definitely going to happen in the future. Like, it is 100%.
You're not going to be the only one. But if you feel like that, can you just imagine, even if we're feeling great right now, but if you can imagine going through something and being the only one and no one gets it, that feels terrible. But if you can go, I'm not alone with this, I know there's someone out there that's gone through it, and you even maybe seek them out, you know what I mean? And connect with them or help. Yeah, it's powerful. Anyways, you were talking about the 5-minute gratitude, or the 5-minute journal, I think.
No, I think this is the perfect segue into this, because when you have got like those things that you're like, I feel like I'm alone, like my life's not that great, like I'm struggling. It's like, okay, let's just take a moment and write a list of what you're grateful for. It could be that you're breathing. It could be that you have.
I love this. Yes.
It could be that, your pet's still alive, or like, it could be that you have a roof over your head.
Yeah.
So I do the 5-minute gratitude journal, and I think it just gives you a bit of a reality check that life really isn't as bad as it is. And so I want to talk about, what you do for, the gratitude and meditation that's part of your life.
I love this question so much. So gratitude, first and foremost, gratitude is so incredibly important, and it's not something I highly what I love is, we're recording this in November. I'm not sure when you're going to broadcast it. It's November. It's the month of thanks in the US. It is, it's a month when people, they tend to connect with it more. And what I would encourage and to challenge you to do is to connect with it moment by moment throughout the day. In fact, because here's the thing, this kind of goes hand in hand with meditation, which is brain training. Our brains, especially nowadays with all of the things going on. I'm in Miami Beach. I can literally see cruise ships going out, planes going out, lots of cars, yachts, like you name it. It's nonstop, right? Plus I can hear our alerts going off. I can hear it's just, but our life today, technology is beautiful and so cool. We're so interconnected. yet we're completely disconnected from like ourself and just being deeply rooted and grounded in this beautiful presence and life that we have, these lungs that we don't even have to say, breathe, breathe, or beat, beat. Like it just happens. How cool is that, you know? And so what's crazy is instead we'll get stressed over, you know, for example, I was saying I'm in the middle of a major move. We're in the middle of a major move right now. And so, and every time I'm so naive about how stressful a move can be, to be honest. I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. Just load. And then we're in the middle of it. I'm like, why am I stressed? Anyway, in those moments, as soon as you feel a moment of overwhelm, of frustration, in one of our rental properties, there's a leak and no one can tell us what it is. They keep pointing fingers and I'm like, ah, you know, it's human. It's just life. Okay. What we do in those moments though, and how we handle it is so incredibly important, not only for the cells of our being and our health, but for our relationships, for our business, for our future, for our kids, for strangers on the street and how we impact their, like, I think we forget that we're genuinely like this big, beautiful ball of energy, and we get to decide how we carry ourselves. Are we going to be positive energy or negative energy? And so with that, I just went way into the woo. You get it though. So with that, if we can connect in that moment, I'll say, you know, the leak in the house is, anyway, so if I allow my brain to get overwhelmed, and it's so easy to get overwhelmed with all the things that aren't going right or according to plan or perfectly on time, we all would be pissed off, frustrated, upset, like just feeling like we're not good enough. We can't keep up with all this fancy stuff on social media, whatever we're comparing ourselves to, which I don't recommend. So we just got to cut it. We just got to stop it right in its tracks. Our brains, if we do not control it and train it with meditation, will be like a monkey mind. It just bounces all over from thought to thought to thought to thought. So what we must do is just stop. As soon as we start to feel the energy rise in our body from the pressure or the stress or the frustration or life not going according to your plan, pause, take a very deep breath, just like a good reset breath, and just flood yourself of all of the things you're grateful for. So just like you were saying, and I love to start with the simplest things like the breath in my lungs, the beat in my heart, like this fresh, and if you live in many countries, I wouldn't say most, but if you're listening to this, you probably have internet. Like, you know what I mean? You're probably not in a war zone. Like there's just so many things we don't even think of. You probably have the freedom to listen to whatever the heck you want to listen to. Like this is banned in some countries. Mm-hmm. Can we just pause there with like the freedoms that we have, the opportunity? And so what I love to do is like, yes, the roof over our head. Yes, the food in our fridge. I like to go deeper, and I like to think of as many things, and I like to go really deep with it too. Do you know what I mean? Where it's not just like a roof over our head, yes, but it's like end in a place where our freedom is safe, like we're safe, you know, and we don't have to worry about bombs being dropped on us, or we don't have to worry about what music we're listening to and being, you know what I mean? There's just so many. So going deep with it and thinking about things you don't normally do, because it allows the brain, you're building a muscle. You talk about this too, physically, emotionally, we have to build a muscle. So it starts with gratitude. So moment by moment, training the brain, frustration, pressure, stress, not feeling good enough, down about yourself, guilty, anything, cut it. And immediately your muscles and stop, and gratitude, right? And it's just kind of moment by moment. It works. It still works. So I like to say, that's it. It's not about just doing it like every so often. My husband and I, every single day, we do what's called a gratitude walk, and we share what we're grateful for always. We just go through this big, long list, and we try to think about things we've never even said before. Like, it's so fun. And it's like, oh, I like that. I'm grateful for that too. It's so amazing. We feel so good. And then the next thing to layer it on is, what are you excited about? So it's like right here now in the present moment, fill up, because if we're just only looking forward or only looking back, we're missing out on this beautiful present moment that we will never get again. So we fill up here, and we do what's called a flood. Just flood as many things. If you need to take a break and take a 5-minute break or a 2-minute walk outside, flood your brain, put your favorite music on, think of all the things you're grateful for, say it out loud or say it inside, whatever it is, but just journal it out, list it. And then finally, like, think about the things that you're excited for in the future and where you're going. And I think that that's a complete, I know it's a complete reset. We do this every single day. What are you grateful for? And then we both share back and forth. And then now, what are you excited about? And sometimes it's like, I'm excited for this move to be over. I'm excited for that. It doesn't mean I'm grateful for this rental property. I'm grateful for this opportunity ahead of us. You know, be real about it. It's not placating it. But then also, you're allowed to be excited for some things getting better too. And it's good for the brain to think about that, because sometimes we get stuck and we don't even see light at the end of the tunnel. And then think about the bigger things. I'm excited. We talk about, and our excitement 20 years from now will be even more in love, passionately in love. You know, our health is just as, like, we're even stronger than we were at 20 or something like we just go, like, our 20-year visions of what we're excited about. But you have to build it on that foundation of gratitude for where you're at and what is here now, right? I'm going to take a breath.
I agree so much. And I think one thing that I've really learned, and it is training a muscle, just like you're doing a workout, like this mindset stuff doesn't come easy. I've learned to let things go. I've learned to be quicker at letting things go, whereas I'd let stuff build up inside me and it would like hold on to me for like a week. And then I kept training. It would hold on to me for a couple of days and then it would be a couple of hours. And now it's a couple of minutes. And now I'm like, if something negative happens, I'm not saying that sometimes I don't react, and I've got to get better at that. I'm definitely much better than I was. And now I'm not so bothered afterwards. Sometimes it would completely consume me. If something had gone wrong, or if I got pissed off by something or something wasn't working, it would ruin my whole day. Now I'm like, fuck it. Right, what's the next? Like, okay, this has happened, no problem. And I go straight to being solution orientated rather than being problem orientated. You know, okay, how can I be the solution orientator here? How can I fix this issue? And how exciting. I've never been in this situation before, so I'm going to learn a new skill by fixing this. And because we only grow in the times where things are going bad. So bring it on. I want more of that, because surely that's going to help me grow more. So I've learned to let it go, take a moment to be grateful for what I do have. And hey, what exciting things actually going to come out of this negative. And you know, I've built a little nutrition center in somebody else's gym, and it's not going to be there anymore. And I put a lot of money in it, a lot of time. I put it in. They decided that they want to knock it down and stick some tank thing in it. I don't even know. And the first one, I was like, but I wasn't even surprised. It's come to my life anymble where I'm not even surprised by other people's actions. I'm like, okay, no problem.
Shenanigans,
Right. This is obviously not meant to be. This obviously was not meant to have this nutrition club in here anymore. And that's great. That's no problem, because now I'm actually moving into an apartment in 2 weeks' time. Well, I'm moving into a house for the first time ever. And I've got this 4-bedroom freaking badass bitchin' house.
Isn't it crazy?
Like, oh, this is way better. Like, that could go. I'm into this. So I think that I used to, and now I'm not even surprised by people. And I'm not surprised by people's actions, because I think, I'm like, okay, that's just, it's not wrong. It's not good. It just is. And I'm okay with that.
I love that so much. So I want to add to that. And I love everything that you said. I hope everyone that's listening is taking massive notes, because that is beautiful and so important. So one question I'm sure that people are probably wondering, and you may have answered it, but I just want to make sure that they didn't miss it, is how did you get better at letting go? And maybe you answered it, but just to, like, if you could kind of, like, one pointer or two, like, what allowed you used to hold on to things and then you just got better at letting go? What was that change that you made? Because I really think that could help people.
A couple of things. I realized that I was spending my precious energy on reacting to things. And actually I got so busy, I didn't have time anymore. I didn't have time to do it because other things were more important.
That's definitely a great way to
like, we don't have time. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. And I started to realize that everything that was happening was good. I didn't look at anything as like bad anymore. I was like, this is good. This is how it's supposed to be. Like, do I get this book deal with this person, or do I get it with this one? Okay, I got it with this person. This is obviously who I'm meant to have it with. And I feel like we look at so many things as negative, where actually it is always a positive, because life is rigged in your favor.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't care. I don't look at things and get mad anymore, because I'm like, this is how it's supposed to be. This is for me. This is good. Like,
yes.
I don't know what I believe in or whatever, but I'm like, I have to believe that whatever, the universe has got going on is perfectly in my favor. And as long as I keep showing up, becoming the best version, the dots are already done. This is exactly how it's meant to be. And if you start thinking like that, you literally can't get mad anymore. You can't get angry, because you're like, okay, cool. This is it. I
love that. Okay. So one thing I would say for everyone listening is write down, everything is rigged in my favor. Life is rigged in my favor. I love that so much. The other thing I wanted to add to that was, and I often will share this with clients or friends and remind myself that the definition of suffering is the difference between life, the reality of life, and our expectations. When our expectations do not match the reality and we're fighting with it, that is suffering. That's where suffering exists. It's because we think it's supposed to be this way. We expected it to be this way, and we're fighting with reality. And when we do that, that is exactly how we create self-suffering in ourselves. Mm-hmm. So we just have to, when we're feeling down and out or frustrated or whatever, this isn't working out, like really just upset about things, suffering is anything that's not really kind of blissful, happy, peaceful, right? So suffering, we have to ask ourselves, what were my expectations here? And then what's the reality? You're going to quickly see like, it's my expectations that screw us over all the time. And I'm not saying, lower your expectations. I'm saying don't have any expectations. Mm-hmm. Like you can wish and hope for the best, but you have, just like you were just saying, and I love this so much, you have to trust that life is completely rigged in your favor. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you, and it's all going to work out. And what's so beautiful is there are so many things. Like I've always had a very clear vision of kind of where I'm going in life, what I want to do. And some people say you should really like share that out loud. I do with some people, but I can be very like internal with that. I just know. And what's so beautiful is there have been so many things, and I don't think we share enough of the shit that we've gone through. And I'm not really big into that, because it's just like, I don't want to. I don't live in that area, but I think people do like it these days because it makes it more real and relatable. But for me, I just don't like, I don't want to share this stuff. Like it's just kind of like, I just move on. Just like you said, I just move on. I don't have time to like dwell over it. I'm moving on next. And so what's beautiful though, is looking back, and you can probably do the same. Like it all worked out. Mm-hmm. Like it all worked out, and it worked out exactly as it was supposed to be. Sometimes, and a lot of times even better than what we had imagined if we really are looking closely. Why didn't that event work out, or that book deal, or that job, or this opportunity, or that relationship? Oh my gosh. Can we talk about that? Like the breakup, you thought your life was over, whether it was in middle school or in your 20s. Like you're like, I get it.
I'm so glad I'm not with that person anymore. No one. I listened to a podcast yesterday, and they said no one ever looks back and goes, I wish I was still with that person.
No. And here's what's so beautiful. I think that even those that, like, when you do see who you end up with or who they end up with, like, even if you're still heartbroken, if you're able to look and see that, like, just wishing people genuine happiness is it's freeing for yourself, and it's such a loving energy to put out there into the world. So like, I see it and I'm like, there's someone better for that person. There's someone better for me, and whatever. We don't necessarily see that in the middle of a breakup, right? But when we look back, we're like, that worked out so well. I'm so grateful that, and you see like who you're with now, whatever. So it's so beautiful to be able to look back and actually see what did work out. Sometimes people get so hooked on like the things that didn't, and they forget to look at what did, mm-hmm. and how beautiful that really like fell into place completely for us. So I love that. I'm so grateful that you brought that up.
So fired up for that. And I think we're gonna close. We've got a couple of minutes left. I feel like we could just keep going all day long. And I want to close just on the love and relationship thing, because we just touched on it.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, and maybe this is something that I'm using you now as my coach. And if you're going into a conversation with somebody, you're in a relationship. Maybe it could be a friend, could be a business partner, a spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend. and they're saying that they don't want to argue, but you're not having an argument. You're trying to have a discussion. You're telling somebody how you feel, and they feel like it's coming across like an argument. How do you diffuse that situation?
Oh,
How
I
does that
love
work?
this. I love this question so much. Oh, okay. One, I love that you're putting me on the spot with this, but two, it's such a beautiful question. I think this will be so helpful for everyone. So the immediate thing first of all, I just want to preface this with, in coaching, all of the tools work some of the time. So the things that I'm sharing here, the things that you're sharing, they may or may not work for the people listening. So like if you're listening, here's the promise that we as coaches and as clients have to make. I commit to trying it on for size. You have to commit. If you don't commit to try, it's just like if someone wants to achieve their goals in health or fitness or business, but they're like, I don't really want to do that. It's like, what? Here's the thing. You have to try it on for size. If it works, beautiful, we stick with it. If it doesn't, that's cool. We try another tool, but we won't know what works if you don't actually try it. So the tool I'm going to share with you, I just want to share that because there's so many different tools that would answer or resolve this question. But because of time, I'm going to share just one that I love so much. So the question was, you want to work through something. So it sounds like there's differences. And so just acknowledging, what I like to do is in your relationship, step outside, report like a journaler, like a journalist, a journalist, and just know what's going on. So that way we're not emotionally connected. Like they don't want to talk. They think I'm arguing or fighting or whatever. I'm always picking whatever. Don't do that. Like you have to step outside and say, if just do an editorial of what's going on. Okay. And then you can kind of just see it from a different perspective. That's really helpful to just disattach from the emotion and even maybe put yourself into their shoes and see it from their perspective too, right? So just let's start there. That's not the tool that I want to share with you, but it's important to pull ourselves out and see it from the different sides. The most important thing though, is what we like to do is, why I was sharing that is because what I'm seeing and hearing from the outside as a coach, and what I challenge you to be able to self-coach yourself in your relationship or business anywhere as well as have a coach, right? So to be able to self-coach, you take yourself out and you're like, what's going on here? Okay, this person A likes to work through things, and they like to work through things by talking through things. Person B, that's not how they solve problems. Whether it's a different fighting style, some people are verbal and they're loud with their body and everything. My husband and I, we are not. We like to talk it out. We're very we talk it out, but it's not with loud voices or big gestures. It's cool, calm, collected, and we just talk kind of slowly and just work through it. We're like massage the problem out, right? Occasionally we'll need to take a break and what's called self-soothe and just walk away, breathe through it, a gratitude flood, and then come back if things start to get kind of heated. That's our style. We don't like to fight, and we don't fight, which is beautiful. Some people, they want to be loud about it and expressive. So it's important to know, in your relationship, what's your fighting style or communication style? Is this person a talker, or are you the talker, or are you both loud, or are you both quiet? Because sometimes what happens is, if my husband were really loud, that would hurt me. That would really, really hurt me. It's a boundary, it's a violation, it's a rule of mine. And so it's important that in your relationship, you understand what is that communication style, or what is that fighting style when you get into a disagreement. You don't have to fight, but just a disagreement. Because if you're mismatched in that, that's going to be a problem every time. So you have to learn, if I speak Spanish and you speak English, we're going to have to learn how to speak each other's languages. That's one. The most important thing, and that you're going to love this. Okay. So it's called a soft startup. This is a tool from the Gottman Institute. We're big fans of John and Julie Gottman. And the tool, how it works is there's 3 parts to it. It's going to sound a little robotic in the beginning, but I promise you what's so beautiful about it. One, for men, it's men and women, because sometimes women, we think men should read our minds, and they can't, it's not happening. Come on. We're in 2020 almost. You still can't read our minds? No, it's not going to happen. So one, it breaks it down in a very clear way of what the problem is and what you need to resolve it for a dude, right? And likewise, for him to express this to you, it allows a woman to process just where he's at. So It's going to sound robotic, but it just makes the communication so much more clear and just straightforward and direct. And how it works is you go like this. Give me a second. I feel blank. I want just an emotion there, just an emotion. What I mean is happy, sad. This is called a soft startup. So usually it's not because you're happy that you're doing this, but you're usually sad, frustrated, alone, whatever. What is the feeling? Not, I feel like you don't care. I feel like you don't care is an emotion. So I need a specific emotion, not an attack, but an emotion. So I feel blank when blank. What is the thing that's happening? And then finally, and what I need is blank. What's the solution? So for example, you're trying to work through something. You're like, I feel upset, or I feel alone, or I feel misunderstood, whatever it is. You can say all three of those things. I feel upset, misunderstood, and alone when we have a problem and we don't work through it together or talk through it together. What I need is to better understand how we can work through these problems together, or what I need is whatever it is you need. So, and what I need is for us for you to be able to listen and understand what it is. So that is called a soft startup. I feel blank when blank happens, and what I need is blank. This specific formula, it just kind of de-escalates all the emotion. It's so clear. You know exactly what to do now after I told you that. You know what I mean? And you know, and I would even add on for brownie points or bonus points, what I would add on is and that would make me feel incredibly what? It would make me feel loved, adored, cared for, safe, protected, whatever it is. It allows you to know, you and your partner to know why you feel a certain way, what the solution is, and the rewards on the other side of it. So it's called the soft startup. I love it. Is that helpful?
Oh my God, that's absolutely perfect. It's like the diffuser. It's like the diffuser.
That's a diffuser.
It's just going to put you guys back on level playing ground. It's not going to get things heated. It's just like, and doing it calmly. My goodness. I think that is like the keynote to finish on for this podcast. Thank you so much for giving us your advice and wisdom. Where can everybody find you? Because I know that they're going to want to know more from you.
Thank you. The main place to connect with me is Performance Coach University. So I mentor there. If you want, I don't advertise too much about coaching because I work so much with our coaching, and I only take on a few coaching clients. But I would say on Instagram, it's peace, love, and gummy worms. And really, it's just a reminder to not take social media like so crazy seriously. So I kept it really fun. So peace, love, and gummy worms on Instagram. Or look us up at performancecoachuniversity.com for self-coaching or coaching tools, or if you're interested in finding a coach or being a coach. It's a great resource. The whole team, I couldn't be more proud of the people, the community, and just how much they pour into helping people become better versions of themselves and helping others do the same. So I'm so, so grateful to be on this podcast with you. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing what you do, and to everyone listening and supporting you. The work that you're doing is amazing, incredibly inspiring. I wish we could replicate you. It's so beautiful. I'm in awe, and I adore you. Thank you.
That's so sweet. And I hopefully that we can meet up in the next couple of weeks.
We will.
Might be both in this town, and I think that we could squeeze in a 5-minute cup of tea or a coffee. I love it.
We must. Yeah, I think Florida will happen for sure.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Make sure that you head on over to It Takes Grit, subscribe to the podcast. You can go to the It Takes Grit podcast on Instagram, screenshot that you've listened to this podcast, tag us both. I think that's the best Instagram name that I've come across. We're going to put all of your details below, and just make sure that you share this with somebody today who you feel that you could level up their life, make a difference, and give them some extra value, be that hero in someone's life. So thanks everybody for watching or listening. We will see you next week. Bye guys.
Bye.
If you are not seeing the results that you want, or you're getting held back from it, it could be your ego. It could be your ego telling you, I got this, it's fine. Let it go. Listen to something.